Last year, I ran an experiment on my business, and what I did is I put $10,000 into paid ads, and I also put another $10,000 into a content strategy. Now, the difference in results were massive, but also one of the most important things were I got to see what type of leads came in from both in terms of how warm they were, if they were nurtured, how cold maybe they were. And from doing this, it showed me some results that I didn't actually think were possible. Now, if you're a coach or consultant, this video is going to get you, because I don't want you to go out there and waste tons of money. Instead, I want to break down what I saw from running both of these funnels, specifically just organic content and also just paid ads. So lock in, boys, and make sure you have a note pen ready for this one. So what I want to do is give you some context to the reason why I did this. Now, the business was growing, EC Group was growing as a company. In terms of results that we were putting into the market, massive. We was able to scale some offers from 0 to 50K, 0 to 74K, maybe 10K to 92K. But we wanted to increase the lead flow that came into the business. So we decided to spend quite a lot of money on paid ads. Now, from doing this, one of the biggest things we saw was lead flow. Lead flow went up the roof. The good thing is we was in control of everything. So if we wanted to, let's say, take more sales calls, all we had to do was increase the ad spend to do that. So things were a lot more predictable. And what this did for the business was just instant results, because we knew if we spent X, we were going to be able to book a certain amount of calls, and we could obviously reverse engineer the numbers to make sure we hit a certain amount of cash collected and also revenue. And this was really good because it allowed us to really focus on the data. So from focusing on the data, for example, one of the funnels that we ran was the profile visit funnel. So I knew, for example, if I was to, let's say, get 2,000 leads, I want to try have a good lead to call percentage, but also if my setter was in the account and he had a good DM to combo of around, let's say, 20%, his combo to call was around, let's say, 15%. My show up rate was at least, let's say, 80%. And my close rate was a minimum of 25%. The numbers are just very predictable in terms of how much revenue that we could make for the business. So in terms of predictability, it was massive. Now, the only thing with spending $10,000 on paid ads and the problems that arose were that people actually didn't know me. So they didn't know who I was. They came in from an ad and, they saw me, maybe they saw a testimonial ad or a proof ad, but they didn't actually know who I was as a person. So they didn't know me. And with this, the leads were a lot colder, but on top of this, there was more friction for the sales team and also myself. And the thing that most people don't understand is that ads interrupt people, but when it comes to actual content, it attracts people. So what I found myself doing was having to do a lot more explaining on the sales calls, but on top of this, more objection handling, because the leads that came in were a lot colder than if they did, let's say, for example, came in through organic content. So instead of sales calls actually being decision-making calls, they were actually sales calls. They were sales calls where I had to explain more, had to break things down in terms of like how long the sales call were. Instead of them being like a 30, 45-minute call, they were an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours as well. And the thing with paid ads, you need to obviously make sure you've got a good setter in place. You've also got good follow-up processes in place. You've got your CRM, you've got your nurturing assets to make sure even if that person, let's say doesn't close, but on the back end, they're still getting follow-up. So there's a lot of infrastructure needed to make sure if you're going to use ads, you're going to get the best ROI from what you spend as well. Now, just to give you some context, ads made my business grow faster, but they didn't make my business stronger. So then what I decided to do was do the opposite of spending 10K on ads. And instead, I actually spent 10K on an actual content team and focused a lot more on organic content. So what I went and did is I went and hired a creative director. On top of that, I also went and added 3 editors. So that was split up into a long form editor, a short form editor, and also a clipper. So someone that would clip long form content as well. We also doubled the filming days. So, if we booked any studios or let's say we booked any Airbnbs to shoot, that increased the budget off actual organic content. And as well as that, we pushed a lot more YouTube videos as well in terms of detailed breakdowns, client testimonials, client interviews, and we really doubled down on organic content as a whole. Now, from doing this and spending 10K on content, I saw a massive, massive difference. The first one was that calls, any of the calls I actually took, the people were a lot warmer than what actually came through paid ads, to the point where I actually had people on calls that jumped on with me quote back my YouTube videos, literally everything I said on that YouTube video, which was so surprising to me because, you know, when posting content, I think a lot of people have like a limiting belief that, you know, you need millions of people to watch it, you need thousands of people to watch it, but you actually don't. Like, think if you have like a 5 to 10 or a 15K price point of a product, and let's say only 30 people watch that YouTube video, that's 30 potential people that might buy your product. Even if 10% was to buy it and you had a 10K offer, you do the maths. Like, you're making a lot of money. So that was a massive thing for me, is that the calls were also a lot shorter. So there was less explaining on the calls. I actually found myself doing sales calls that maybe took 30 minutes and that person would actually pay in full as well. So as well as the calls being shorter and people being warmer, I found myself in a position where the close rate also increased massively, where we actually went from 25% close rate through paid ads to around 55% through organic content. And the reason why this happened is because there was so much trust. You know, this person would have came through Instagram, and from there, they would come onto my page, they would see proof, they would see testimonials. On top of that, there was hundreds of short form videos they could go through. My YouTube link was in the bio, so they could then go on there and there was video after video after video, and another video was, you know, sending someone to another video. So, you know, from increasing the volume of the amount of content we was posting, we was actually creating more sales assets for people to go through and watch before they actually came on a sales call with me. Another thing I saw was the sales cycle was a lot shorter. For example, when someone came through paid ads, even if that person did close, what would end up having to happen is we might have to book a follow-up call. But what I saw from, you know, organic content, anyone that came through here, they would actually piff on the first call, or at least close on the first call as well. Anyone who came through actual organic content, where they were watching videos, they came through organically, they followed us organically, and they didn't even come through paid ads, the sales cycle just decreased to the point where anyone we took, we would just close them on the first day. And I think one of the most important things when it comes to organic is your cost per acquisition actually goes down massively. Because let's say, for example, when we was running paid ads and we were spending, you know, $10,000, or, you know, across the months, the other months we were spending maybe 5, 6, 8K per month, you know, the cost to acquire that person was a lot of money. Obviously, you all know currently in the space, you know, to acquire customers, it's very, very competitive. And due to it being so competitive, the price to acquire has also increased. So we found from doing short form content, it was costing us little to nothing to be able to acquire that customer, because we didn't have to spend so much on paid ads. Instead, people were actually coming in for free. Someone watched a YouTube video without even finding me on Instagram, and they literally just saw me on YouTube, booked a call, and then came onto a call and closed instantly. So that just brought down the cost to actually bring a customer into our business as well. I also noticed a lot more referrals coming through too. So, you know, from any people that we did sign, they would be like, oh, I've recently just actually partnered up with VC Group, and they would tell a friend. That friend would then go onto my YouTube and go onto my Instagram. Oh, I really like what he's actually doing. And that would also book a sales call for us. So we had a lot more referrals coming through. On top of this, a lot more partnerships. So, you know, for us, because we work in the info space, one thing we try to bring on for our clients is maybe any softwares or any providers maybe for financing. And from posting content and getting, you know, EC Group out there even more, we found a massive inbound in terms of partnerships and also talent. So we had some really good closers come out to us. We had some really good setters come out. And that's great for our business, because we're trying to scale offers from 0 or scale offers from 20, 30K. So now we've got all of this talent coming into the business saying, hey, we want to work with you guys. We want to, you know, we want to partner with you on X. You know, even the other day, I had an amazing opportunity to speak with someone in the financing space, and did me a really good deal on a software we could use that obviously splits the payments for customers who were interested in a program, which is massive for the business, because You know, if we can offer a solution to our clients where, let's say one of their prospects don't have the money, but they can split it up and still get paid in full, that's so much leverage. And that came from just posting content, just posting organic content on Instagram. And the really good thing about organic content is even when, let's say, I didn't post, leads still kept coming in, because there was this massive library of content available for someone to go through and see. And you know, now you're in a position where you're no longer renting, you know, your customers, because when you run paid ads, as soon as you turn those ads off, lead flow's gone. There's nothing coming through. But with your content, when you've got this massive bank, people can find you, they can explore your page, they can explore your YouTube videos, and so many people still come through even if you're not showing up. Now, the real lesson I actually got from this is ads scale demand, but content creates demand. So the thing is, ads are a multiplier, but content is the foundation. Most people will do ads, then content, but I actually think people should do content, then ads, because ads actually amplify what already exists. So if you're in a position where you're under 20K per month, I'm not saying you don't need to run ads at all to not bring in lead flow, but you do want to focus on your organic content. You want to double down and actually create content that speaks to people that you're trying to sell to. But on top of that, you want to get into a good way of like, right, so I'm posting this content, I understand my ICP, I also understand my dream follower. And then once you've nailed that, you can increase your spend as well. But if you're in a position where, you know, you're taking calls, you're already closing, you've got a good lead flow, but you want to take it to a next level where you want to, let's say, scale to 100, 150, 200K, organic content can get you so far, but you can really push it if you're able to have the right ad strategy behind you. You know, for example, we had a client that was doing 50K per month. They were doing really well, but when we put ads behind them, their calls increased, the amount of cash collected increased, just because they were just taking more sales calls because we had a really good budget behind them. So that's when you can actually push the button on paid ads, because you've already got a good organic reach. If you just run ads and you post no content at all, yes, you may have proof, but the conversion could be a lot higher. I've seen people who are spending maybe 20, 30K per month and they're absolutely killing it. They're still doing 100, 200K per month. But as soon as they get ad fatigue, then now we've got to go create some more ads. We might go, you know, film 20, 50, 60 creatives, and then that comes back. But if we had organic content aside that, it would probably reduce the amount we'd have to spend, reduce the cost per lead, reduce the cost per call booked. So having them work simultaneously against each other can actually give you a higher return on investment. Now, the big thing I learned from this is paid ads helped me grow a lot faster, but content helped me build a real business. And once we combined both, that's when we really started to scale. So what I've actually done for you guys is right here, there's a video of a client we scaled, Kieran and Kieran, from 0 to 74K cash collected in 90 days. And it will be great for you to watch this because they started their offer from 0, brand new Instagram, everything. But everything I just went through here was the process we put into their business. So running paid ads to increase that lead flow with a new offer, but also them posting organic content to nurture those leads so they could increase ad spend and really push the button. So lock into this one. It'll be right here for you, where me and Kieran sit down and go through everything we put in place for them to scale their offer in 90 days. But I'll catch you in the next one.